Who's next big heavyweight star?
Tom Aspinall, the guy who
Of
just
course,
won
just
the
won.
interim title. He's phenomenal.
You say that Jon and Tom has the potential to be the biggest heavyweight fight of all time.
It doesn't have the potential. It's going to be. It's going to be the biggest heavyweight fight ever.
Jon Jones John Aspinall, that's happening in 2025.
One wrong move today and this could be the end of me.
That's right, couldn't be. He literally walked into the room and said, it's happening.
He says he wants fuck you money. I imagine Dana will pay him fuck you money, huh?
I don't really care about money at this point. It's about the belt. He has failed a couple of drug tests.
Does it make him a cheat?
Yeah, of course it does.
How do you think he'll feel when he sees you calling him a cheat on Uncensored? Is he ducking you?
But it's not about Jon's resume. It's about who's the best in the world right now, and I think it's me. Every time I do it now, it's like a step closer to never doing it again.
Even doing this interview, you're incredibly confident. Well, Dana White's UFC is now one of the biggest sports in America, if not the world, surpassing the NHL earlier this year to join the Big Four. Donald Trump and his top team are among its notable fans, and judging by the reaction he gets inside the UFC arena, that feeling is mutual. One of the rising superstars of this new all-American sporting juggernaut is in fact a homegrown Brit. Tom Aspinall is the interim UFC heavyweight champion, and if I seem a little more nervous than usual, it's because he's right here with me in the studio, bristling with danger. Tom, how are you?
I'm doing all right, thank you. Yeah, I'm doing...
I did think to myself, if I ask the wrong question here, you are, many people believe right now, the single most dangerous person on planet Earth. What would you do if I misjudge a question?
Nothing. I do absolutely. I just fight for money. That's all I'm interested in. Money and to be the best fighter in the world. I'm not interested in punching anybody.
You had a gentle handshake. I mean, nothing too intimidating. Yeah. You didn't try and break my arm.
Nope. No, I don't have anything to prove. What am I going to prove by squeezing your hand?
When was the last street fight you had?
Oh, so I used to work on the door, like I used to work before. So all my jobs...
In Salford, right?
In Wigan, actually, yeah. Which is a very similar area anyway. All my jobs have been like just to fund MMA training.
Right.
So everything that I did was kind of like just to fund me putting fuel in the car, buying supplements, doing what I need to do. So I used to work on the door a little bit, and I had a couple of, you know, not even street fights, just like tussles here and there. But
how do they tend to end, Tom?
All right, all right. Yeah, all right for me, but
not very good for them.
I mean, it's different, and I'm like, fighting a drunk person when I'm not drunk is obviously not very fair, so it's not something that I really want to do. I'm interested in doing it for sport, not anything.
When I did Celebrity Apprentice, which obviously Donald Trump was the host of many years ago, and I was in it with Lennox Lewis.
Yeah.
And I said, what was it like when you were heavyweight champion of the world? I said, did people ever try and take you on in a club or something? He went, all the time. I said, really? He said, yeah, if I could go out in New York or Miami or somewhere, there's always the biggest guy in the club at some stage of the night will come and, as a matter of honor, he'll want to take me on. I went, well, how often did that happen when you were world heavyweight champion? He went, a lot. I said, and what used to happen? He went, dude, what do you think happened? I was the heavyweight champion of the world. So it seemed like for years, Lennox was walking around and banging people over in nightclubs because they had the audacity to challenge it.
Well, I don't do any of that.
But you get people...
Yeah, I do actually, yeah. That's really, that's a real thing, unfortunately. People want...
How do you handle it?
Well, usually I've got friends there who handle it for me, let's say, a little bit. But, you know, it's never... I've never had it so much somebody come up with like, I want to fight you. As such, it's more just like people being a nuisance to the point where it's like you have to tell them to go away, and then they get upset. So,
and as you've got more famous and more successful, and you're now the heavyweight champion of UFC, are you getting it more, that kind of thing? Is it making your ability to just go out and enjoy yourself more difficult?
Yeah, it is. But I'm not a massive going out person anyway, to be honest. I'm more of a stay-at-home, like homebody family person as opposed to, I mean, don't get me wrong, everyone needs a blowout sometimes, and you know, a few times a year I will go to clubs and bars and stuff like that, but it's not something I'm doing every week, to be honest.
You seem a nice guy, Tom. You seem just like a regular northern bloke.
I think I am.
I could go and have a couple of pints of hand-pumped Tetleys with, and we get on like a house on fire. And yet I've seen you fight, and when you get in that octagon, it's like a switch goes. You become, I mean, a very dangerous person, a lethal operator. Where does that come from?
You know, people often talk about like this switch thing. You know, I flick the switch, I go...
Do you feel that?
I was just going to say, for me personally, that doesn't exist at all. Like for me, it's literally, I'm doing a sport. my outlook on MMA and fighting in the octagon in front of millions of people at this point. For me personally, that's just a sport. Like, I'm going in, I'm going to do my techniques, he's going to do his techniques, my training's going to take over, his training's going to take over, and it's either me or him. There's no, in all honesty, when I fight, I'm like emotionally cold to anything. I'm just completely calm. I can see everything. Like, it's just like another training day for me. It's nothing, no big deal or big fight or anything. I'm just doing what I do every day.
I want to play a clip. This is Joe Rogan speaking to The Rock about you.
Who's next big heavyweight star?
Tom Aspinall, the guy who just won the interim title. He's phenomenal. And he is, again, the next the next advancement of the evolution of the sport.
How so?
Well, because he can do everything. That guy's got elite jiu-jitsu. He's got elite takedowns. His striking is outstanding. I mean, he knocked out Sergey, who's the scariest striker in all of MMA. And he knocked him out in the first round. And the way he did it was just picture perfect.
I watched that fight again today to remind myself, and another person who watched it was Donald Trump, who was in the audience. What was that like, to have Trump sitting there?
Well, that was crazy because...
Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, in Madison Square, yeah. So first of all, I took that fight on short notice, on 2 weeks' notice, and the guy who I fought he was like 16-1, and he was...
Sergey Pavlovich. I mean, he was a unit.
Yeah, and he was coming off like something like 6 first-round knockouts. He was just knocking out everybody. So I took the fight on short notice, which wasn't ideal because he was already trained for the fight and I wasn't. I'd actually just come back from a stag do when I took the fight, which is obviously not ideal. But yeah, we got there and like they stick you in a dressing room where obviously you do your warm up, get your hands wrapped and all that stuff. And always there's like a screen of what people at home are seeing in their dressing room. But I try not to look at it because I do get a little bit starstruck when I see like people, celebrities and stuff coming in. So I didn't actually know that Donald Trump was there. And then, I don't know if you've seen, like, I get in like a crouch position before a fight. It's just something.
I posted it today.
Yeah. Oh, you did?
I did, saying one wrong move today and this could be the end of me.
That's right, it could be. Could be.
So you're turning now.
No,
you're into fight mode.
I get in that position and I could just see this, like, I'm obviously looking at my opponent. I can see like his corner in the peripheral. And I just see this like weird blonde, barnet that he's got going on. And I just kind of recognised it, like...
Yeah. Well, it's a very recognisable head.
But I could see it like out the corner of my eye, so I looked. I was like, oh, it's Donald Trump. And I was like, I've got this big Russian guy in front of me. I better focus on him and then we'll think about Trump later.
Did you see Trump that night? Or?
No, I actually didn't. I seen him. I was in New York again last week and he was at the event there as well. And obviously...
Did you meet him, mate?
I didn't meet him. I've not met him yet, no.
I can probably make that happen.
What, me and Trump?
Yeah.
What a collab that would be.
But he's a Jon Jones fan.
Yeah.
I mean, Jones, when he went over and, gave Trump his belt and stuff. I mean, given I'm a Brit like you, if you were to fight Jones and win and I was sitting front row, would I get the belt?
I'd pass you the belt, absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Tom.
Absolutely.
I'll be in your... Do I get the walkout?
If you want the walkout, you can hold the spit bucket.
Really?
You can
do you know what?
Waft me around in between, give it that one in between the rounds and stuff.
Do you know what? My sons, if I did that, if I walked out near you, Vegas...
They'd love it.
The Jon Jones... I'd become father of the universe.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But that's the fight everybody wants. Dana White, who I've interviewed, I find a fascinating character. And he said this about the potential of you and Jon Jones, who is... in his eyes, the greatest of all time. Let's take a look.
You say that Jon and Tom has the potential to be the biggest heavyweight fight of all time. Is that a fight that you think you could go against your normal rules and go for a stadium?
It doesn't have the potential to. It's going to be the biggest heavyweight fight ever. It'll probably be the biggest fight we've ever done.
Dana White says you and Jon Jones, the biggest fight in UFC history. What did you feel when you heard that?
Well, I agree. Actually, I didn't. So that took place, that interview, right after the Jones fight, the same night. And actually, right after that press conference, I had a meeting with Dana.
Yes, because later in that interview with the press, he says he's got you waiting to see.
Yeah, I was waiting outside.
And what happened?
Literally outside that room. So I hadn't seen any of this stuff that he'd said. So in all honesty, I was expecting him to come and we maybe negotiate a little bit, and he literally walked into the room and said, "It's happening." And I said, "Well, he's going to want loads of money." And he said, "I know, but it's happening." And he said, "It's going to be the biggest fight in UFC history." So
Does that mean Jon Jones has agreed?
I don't think so, but I think I don't know what in all honesty, Jon Jones is like, nobody knows what he's doing, even the UFC, so I don't know.
He says he wants fuck you money. I imagine Dana will pay him fuck you money, won't he?
I would imagine so. I mean, I can't speak for Dana, but I would
you
imagine
get
so.
fuck you money?
No.
How much would you get for that fight?
I don't really care about money at this point. I mean, obviously, I've got a family. I want to make as much money as I can. But to me, what's more important is unifying the belts. See, in MMA, it's a little bit different to boxing in the aspect of you have different weight divisions, which is very like boxing, of course. But usually, you have one champion, one face, one name of every division. Now, in the heavyweight division right now, there's two, and I don't want there to be two because I feel like I'm the number one. Jon obviously feels like he's the number one, and let's fight about it. It's not that difficult. Jon often likes to talk about legacy and his history and all this stuff. It's not about Jon, it's about the belt, and I want to be the unified champion. So for me, it's not so much about money.
In a matchup with you and him, what skills does he have which you think currently he's better than you at, and conversely, what do you think you have where you're better than him?
Well, Jon, let me first start by saying Jon is absolutely elite, and I completely agree with the notion that he's one of the best fighters ever.
Is he the greatest?
Potentially, but the way that I look at it is he has failed a couple of drug tests. To me, that rules you out of being the best of all time.
Really?
For me personally, yeah, I think.
Does it make him a cheat?
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah. If you're on steroids or whatever, I don't think he was on steroids, but he was on PEDs, performance enhancing drugs. If you're on PEDs and your opponent isn't, that's absolutely cheating in my book, unless you're both allowed to do it.
You've never taken anything like
Absolutely not.
that? You never would?
When I retire, I will, yeah. Absolutely, to keep my body healthy, and your body stops producing testosterone after a while. To be a healthy older gentleman, I'll probably do some kind of testosterone replacement.
You're suggesting I should be pumping steroids?
So. No, I don't think you should be on steroids, but I think I don't know a lot about the subject, to be honest. But I think when you fight in MMA, you absolutely shouldn't be using PEDs. No.
So should he even be allowed to fight you?
Yeah, if he's not using them now, yeah. Yeah, I think so, yeah, absolutely.
How do you think he'll feel when he sees you calling him a cheat on Uncensored?
I don't know. That's his
Do you
prerogative.
care?
No, I'm not bothered. Jon Jones seems to get his feelings hurt a lot.
Think he's a little snowflake?
I don't think he's a snowflake, no. But
is he ducking you?
No, he's trying to get more money. I don't think he is ducking me. He's trying to get more money.
Do you think he's scared of you or not?
No, but I think he reckons.
I would be. When I watched you demolish old Sergey, I was like, there is not enough money in Dana White's bank, whichever one he's with. There's not enough money in that bank to get me in a ring with you, even for 30 seconds.
You know what? I agree. I actually agree with a lot of what Jon says. When you put the resumes next to each other, his resume is far superior to mine. The risk reward for the both of us. His risk is he has everything.
So on the skill differentials, where would you say he has the edge and where do you have the edge?
Well, he's amazing at everything. He's amazing at everything.
Are you better than him at any one discipline?
No, but I'm way younger and way more athletic and way bigger, and I possess a power that he's never seen before or even come close to. But like I said, I completely agree with everything that he says in terms of resume, but it's not about Jon's resume. It's about who's the best in the world right now, and I think it's me.
Which would make you the greatest of all time.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't.
Well, if you beat the GOAT.
No, it wouldn't.
Aren't you the new GOAT?
No, it'd make me the best heavyweight right now. And that's all I want.
What about Conor McGregor? He's been very scathing of you on social media, taken you on a few times. What do you feel about him?
I don't know Conor McGregor. I've never met him. I don't know why he chooses to do that. No idea.
Are you a fan of his?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. The stuff that he's done on his come up in the sport is fantastic.
In 2023, you said that you were over the Conor McGregor hype train, and he took to Twitter, as it was then, and said, "Say sayonara to that, GK, Jim King, deal kid. Starve you and kill you. I will, you effing disrespectful prick. Don't ever speak my name in disrespect again, mushed potato head."
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not massively familiar with exactly what all that means, other than I don't think it was a compliment.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong about the head. The head is quite potato-shaped. I'm all right with that. But I don't know why he's so offended. I just said I'm not.
Have you met him?
No, I've never met him. Never met him.
What would happen if you met him?
Nothing against him. Nothing. Unless.
I mean, you're massively bigger than him.
I'm not bothered. I'm not interested in that stuff. Yeah. Not bothered. That's fine.
What do you think? I mean, he's obviously just been found guilty of raping a woman. What do you think of that?
I actually don't know the ins and outs of it. But if he is guilty, I obviously don't agree with that. Obviously.
When you, as it sounds like from Dana White, you're going to get this chance to fight Jon Jones, you come across so confident. Is there any part of you, as you walk towards the octagon then, that will have the remotest apprehension about what
Absolutely. I'm not like the most scared guy in the room.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But
That's fascinating, really.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But is that fear or is it adrenaline stroke apprehension of making a mistake?
Well, probably all of it. But the fear fuels me to do what I'm doing.
Keeps you on the right edge.
Keeps me super sharp. Without fear, I'm like nothing. I think fear can do two things to you. It can either destroy you or it can help you. And I've figured out a way to let it help. Like without that, I'm nothing. I'm absolutely nothing. I can't go and do what I do in front of millions of people. Like I need the fear to be able to. And the bigger the occasion, the bigger the opponent, the more scared I am. And generally speaking, the better I do.
It's interesting. I mean, even doing this interview, you're incredibly confident.
Thank you.
And I've seen a lot of people who just, when they see me sitting here,
big old Piers with a suit on.
They crumble, like, the fear bites in and they become like gibbering wrecks. But there's none of that with you.
Oh, thanks.
You've just given me the old piercing stare. You flex the old tattooed arms, and it's like, full smooth, son. And
trying. No, I'm not
your
gonna,
career ends along with your life.
I'm not going to start swinging off the table, mate. Don't worry about that.
I am worried about that.
No, none of that.
Tell me about your upbringing. Your dad's sitting over there.
Yeah, he's over there.
He pushed you all the way when you were young.
Yep.
What was it that made you want to deviate from boxing, which a lot of people, I guess, in your part of the north of England would have gone down the boxing route? Why was it MMA that you really wanted to be big at?
I mean, how long have we got on this interview?
What's the short version?
Well, the short version is, so I started training with my dad, like you say. Since the first day, literally, my dad has been at near enough, I'd say he's been at 99% of the training sessions that I've done in my life.
Really?
From the time of me being 7 years old to now 31. Wow. Traveled the world together. This is mine and my dad's thing. If we walked out this interview and my dad said, you know what, Tom, I think you should retire now, I'd go, yep, no problem, absolutely.
Really?
That's how much I trust him. Do you know what I mean? This is mine and my dad's thing. But yeah, I started off training just for like, I don't know, something to do, I guess, as a young kid. I liked it. I liked the combat sports. I liked the physical aspects of it. For me, it works like in sync, physical and mental. Like it really helps me focus on something. And with MMA especially, if you miss a day, you're behind. So it gives me something to strive towards every day. And yeah, it was just like a natural progression. Once I realized that, like, I think I got to about 14, 15, and we started like training at a few different MMA gyms. And I started realizing like, people are actually not going into work. Like, this is the job. This is what they're doing to get money, and not actually going to a building site. Like where I'm from, people work on building sites, people work in car garages, people work in factories and stuff like that. Like these guys aren't doing 12-hour shift in the factory. These guys are going to the gym, going back home and going to the gym again. And I wanted to do that. But
they're also getting into rings where they're going to be fighting.
Yeah.
And that was something that you found thrilling, exciting. How would you categorize it?
Scary.
Yeah.
Very scary still. I used to think, so before I was in the UFC, when I was like an amateur fighter even, I used to watch these UFC guys and UFC champions on TV and think, I can't wait to be in that position because I won't be as nervous. I won't be as apprehensive. I won't be as scared. I won't be overthinking everything. Little did I know at the time, is it just gets worse. Just gets worse. Like the occasion gets bigger.
Really?
And it gets worse every time. But
and what do you physically feel then? As you walk towards the octagon, what do you feel?
I'm just trying to, like, every time I do it now, it's like a step closer to never doing it again. I'm aware that I'm on like the second half of my career now. And I just try and enjoy it, embrace it, and just take in everything that I can, because these are like really, really special moments and they're not going to last forever. And one day I'm going to be an old guy telling my grandkids, oh, I used to fight in the UFC and this happened. I traveled to this place and fought this guy, and I have all these stories, and I'm living that right now, and I try and enjoy it as much as I can.
We got a clip of when you won 50,000, I think it was, not even that huge amount of money, but at the time it was a big
lot of
deal
money
for you.
for me, yeah.
And you got quite emotional. Let's take a look.
Whoa,
Did-
wait!
Yes. Did I really? Oh, when you mum.
What do you think watching that?
It's not the best footage, me blubbering on camera, but I mean,
No, but an interesting insight into what it meant to you.
yeah, I mean, at the time that was like a lot of money, because what they do in the UFC is they give you 50 grand bonuses for like performance of the night. So if you get a good knockout, they might give you a bonus. And at the time, I was like just getting my foot in the door with the UFC, and 50 grand was like life-changing money for me. And before I got to the UFC, I was fighting on local shows. I had 3 kids by the time I was 25.
Yeah. You got 3 boys, right?
I got 3 boys, yeah, and a wife and a house and all that stuff. And I felt, maybe people didn't say it as such, but I felt like a lot of outside pressure of like, why is Tom still messing about with this MMA stuff? Why does he not like go and get a job and actually support his family? So for moments like that, it was just like, I was like solidified that this is what I was supposed to do. This is the way I'm going to make money. This is the way I'm going to provide for my family. And this is how I'm going to, just look after my family, really. That's all I ever wanted to do, was do what I love and look after my family.
We've got a clip when you won a big fight and you dedicated it to your dad, Andy. Let's take a look at this.
I'm here with the winner, Tom Aspinall. An incredibly emotional moment for you. An amazing moment for you. What a sensational victory. Tell us, what is going through your mind right now?
I've worked so hard over the years, and this man right here, my father, has worked harder than anybody, so this belt is dedicated to my father.
Yeah.
Special moment.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. That was obviously like winning a UFC title. But I think I was extra emotional for that one because the opponent I was fighting, first of all, was, like I say, just killing everybody, just knocking everyone stiff, which is not ideal. You're sat in the change rooms thinking, oh, this is not great.
And he was big.
He was a big dude, yeah. Big, scary Russian guy. So there was that. There was also the fact I didn't really train for the fight. I took it on 2 weeks' notice. I didn't know if the fight was going to happen because I didn't have a US visa. Also, like the second day of training, I injured my back. So I basically didn't train for the fight at all. So it was just like the relief of everything. And yeah, obviously, like I said.
I mean, you hit him hard on the side of the head and he just basically went down like a sack of spuds.
Yeah.
And then you got on him to pound him, but it was no point. The referee just, it was all over.
Yeah.
To take down a guy of that ability and danger, frankly, in such an emphatic fashion, I mean, that made the whole UFC world wake up and go, all right, this guy's special.
Yeah, I think, like I say, that people weren't expecting such a big guy like that to fall. And when guys that size fall, it's heavy. You know what I mean? You can hear, you can feel the octagon shake when they fall. So, yeah, just a big moment for me. And I was massively overlooked in that fight. No one gave me a chance at the time. He was just unbeatable. Everyone just thought he was unbeatable, and I was able to go and do that on, like I say, short.
Would you be tempted to do what Francis Ngannou's done and have a few boxing fights or not? If Tyson Fury wanted to take you on, would you accept
Well,
it?
me and Tyson are friends, first of all.
Are you?
So yeah, I've known Tyson for a long time.
You ever sparred with him?
Yes, sparred him loads.
Really?
Tyson actually helped me out a lot in my career.
Did he?
With the hands, but not just with the hands, with the mental aspects as well. Tyson's a great guy.
He is very strong on that.
With the mental aspects.
What did he tell you?
Just a lot of stuff that we just previously talked about enjoying yourself, embracing the moment, because I used to put a lot of pressure on myself. And don't get me wrong, the pressure's still there, but it was more just treat it for what it is, treat it for a sport. It's not life or death in there.
Well, it can be.
It can, of course it can be, but so can
People have died in the ring.
So can crossing the street.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't stiffen up every time you cross the street and stress out about it, or at least I don't.
Who would, if you and Tyson did fight, who would win?
In what, boxing? Or MMA?
Well, MMA, I assume you guys would win.
Well, yeah, I mean, if I
But
thought...
in boxing, who would win?
Well, he would beat me.
Would
yeah,
he?
Yeah. But he's a boxer, I would expect
But you
him
got a
to.
big punch.
I've got a puncher's chance, as did Ngannou, but I think that skill for skill, he's been boxing for, how old is he? He's quite a bit older than me. I think he's like 36, 37. He's been boxing for, 30 years?
Yeah.
punching is just a small part of
I went to see McGregor Mayweather in Vegas,
Yeah.
actually, with two of my sons. And you could tell, really, that Mayweather was toying with him.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to go a few rounds, but I think he could have finished that a lot earlier.
Yeah.
Just the technical expertise was simply, it was just too much in that one discipline.
Yeah.
But for those who don't know exactly what you can do, how many different things can you do?
Okay, so
Boxing, obviously.
you can obviously punch each other. You can elbow each other.
Yeah.
Knee.
But in terms of the actual, like, jiu-jitsu, you're
Okay, so that's almost like limitless at this point. So when it first started, it was like jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing, kickboxing, or Thai boxing, whatever discipline. Maybe like taekwondo, karate. And they're just like basic forms of martial arts that are all linked together. But now, in my opinion, you can't treat it like different martial arts. It has to be, MMA is a sport of its own now. You have to be able to do everything really well. And if you don't, you're gonna get exposed.
What's your strongest thing, do you think?
Doing everything really well together.
The whole thing?
I'm not the best boxer in the world. I'm not the best grappler in the world. I'm not the best wrestler in the world. I've not got the best fitness in the world. I'm not the strongest guy in the world. But put it all together, and as a collective, I do that as good as anybody.
What did you make of the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight? Did you watch it?
I left after 5 rounds.
Did you?
Yeah.
Why?
I just don't want to see Mike Tyson getting beat up off Jake Paul. It just really doesn't interest me. Like, I bought into the whole thing. I was actually in New York at the time, and I had some friends watching at a bar, so I thought, yeah, I'll go and watch it. It'd be like a good little outing. Once I seen Mike Tyson walk into the ring, he just looked.
He didn't seem right. Yeah.
No, he just looked like he didn't want to be there, and he also is obviously older. And Jake Paul's like, you know, he's in great shape. He's throwing them big punches in, and I was just like, I just don't really want to watch this. So I left.
Would you fight Jake Paul if you had the chance?
I mean,
a lot of people would enjoy that.
I mean, everybody.
I'd quite like to watch you fight.
Everybody wants to fight Jake Paul because they're all trying to get the money, aren't they?
Well, of course. If he said, look, it's 20 million, let's get it on, what would you say?
Well, 20 million's a whole lot of money.
Yeah. Would you say yes?
Well, for me, honestly now, and I'm not trying to be like a UFC bootlicker, I want to unify the belts more than anything else. That even comes in.
But down the line, if you got a chance to
fight. Well, down the line, if we're talking about 20 million.
How long would it last if you fought him in a ring?
Jake Paul, well, I'm a lot bigger than Jake Paul.
I know. Give me a few, seconds, minutes?
I'd probably take a few rounds, I think, but I'm not.
How long before you knock him out?
This is not me trying to call out Jake Paul.
Come on, call him out.
I don't want to call
Give me a little
Paul
scoop. Come on.
I don't want to, get
Every part of you is thinking, I want to smack him over.
I don't mind Jake Paul. I don't mind him.
No?
No, I think he's all right.
And if he's watching this and he's thinking, I could take him.
I don't think that he thinks he can take me.
I think you would absolutely pulverise him.
Yeah, well, I do. That's what I mean. I don't
think it would go one round. Do you? Really?
It might do. I don't know. I don't know.
You took out Sergey in one round.
I've not studied Jake Paul, believe it or not. He's not someone I watch in my spare time, to be honest.
Your family, I mean, what do your kids make of this? How old are the boys now?
So my oldest kid's 8.
Yeah.
And I've got 5-year-old twins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they make of what Dad does?
I mean, when you're 5, it's hard to, I think that they're still a little bit young. But my oldest kid now, he's starting to realise that people who he's friends with think it's cool. So he thinks it's cool now. But I think they're just kind of used to it, really. They don't really know any different. So for them, it's just me going off to work, I think. It's not.
One of your boys, I think, has autism.
That's right. That's correct.
How have you found that as a family to deal with?
Challenging.
Yeah.
Of course. Still navigating through it. Still. So my main goal in life, other than obviously the UFC stuff, is just try and get as much awareness with autism as possible. I think there's a lot of families in the UK. I can only speak for the UK because that's where I'm from. That's where I live. That are struggling. People haven't got a diagnosis. People are on waiting lists that are 3-4 years long. People have no direction of where to go, who to turn to, what to do with the kids, and it's just a massive struggle. So when I'm retired from fighting, that is my mission. I mean, it's my mission now, but when I can dedicate all my time to it, that is my mission to try and get as many people diagnosed and helping as many families as possible.
And if I said to you, right, you can knock out Jon Jones and become the undisputed heavyweight champion of UFC,
yeah,
and you've knocked out the GOAT, and you just destroy him in one round, or you can have the best sex of your life.
The best what?
Sex of your life.
Oh, I'd take the knockout all day. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And would your wife, Justina, be pleased with that answer?
What she'd take? She would rather. What's her involvement in this?
Well, I'm presuming she'd be the one you'd be having sex with.
Yeah. She'd be all right with it. She'd be all right.
I once asked Donald Trump if he would give up sex for a year if he got 10 billion. And he replied, no, not for that. So he said, how much? I said, 10 billion. He said, oh, I thought he said million. He said, oh, for 10 billion I would, yeah.
Oh, he's getting on a bit now. I don't know how his performances are looking.
I think we're talking about those performance-enhancing drugs that you were talking about earlier.
Maybe.
Once you've done the Jon Jones fight, which is clearly going to happen, it's going to be absolutely huge, and I do want to walk out with you with a big Union Jack around me as part of your entourage.
Love that. Love it.
And Trump can be with Jones. I'll be with you.
Love that.
We got agreement?
Yeah, we're agreeing. Yeah.
But before we do that, we've got a punching machine in the other studio.
Everybody loves them punching machines.
Yeah. I'm very good at them. There's actually there's a viral clip of me in the street actually doing one of these things and smashing 7 bells out of it. I'm not saying I'm stronger than you, but I wouldn't mind testing the theory.
What if there's no chance that you can punch harder than me? No disrespect. I don't.
Well, you know what? I like a cookie.
All right.
Let's go and do it. Come on
then.